3, a very good day for Real Madrid because it means they extend their lead at the top of the table now to 4 because Atleti could only manage a 1-1 draw against Villarreal. More on that a little bit later on. Luis Garcia joins us to reflect on this game. Luis, this is the Kylian Mbappe Real Madrid we're expecting.
It's the Kylian Mbappe we were all expecting. I think this is what he's been showing for the past 6-8 years at Paris Saint-Germain and the national team. His ability to beat players on 1v1 situations, his finishing, his link up now today with Jude Bellingham, it was fantastic. He struggled to adapt a little bit in the beginning with the Real Madrid side. He was going to play into the middle, going to play into the left side, with Vinicius Junior having that option ahead of him because he was playing for Real Madrid for a longer time in that left side. But he has adapted so well to play into the middle with the freedom to go to the wide areas, to drop back. I think his football intelligence is fantastic, but what he does the best is this kind of movement, fantastic run, and the finish is just great. So this Kylian Mbappe we're all expecting. I think he's 23 goals already this season in La Liga. Superb by the numbers, and again, we are talking about one of the best players in the world, and he's showing it every single weekend.
Critics will say, yeah, but what about in the big games when you really need him to shine? But we've seen, as you mentioned, Craig, in these opportunities that he created in the second half, him hitting the player or not hitting that shot cleanly.
Well, he'll still have those hurdles to get over as the season goes on. But I'm sure a guy playing with this kind of confidence now, it won't be an issue. Obviously, his goal-scoring form recently has been terrific. His link-up play with his other teammates has been much better. And this discussion that we've had about Vinicius and him in the same team and their link-up, the one thing that I'm seeing is, and it looks to me as if they have a really good relationship, is Mbappe and Bellingham. Mm-hmm. They play very close to each other at times, and it looks like they're both sort of on the same wavelength of helping each other out. There's no sort of selfishness in there. I'm not suggesting Vinicius Junior is, but it just seems to me they're working really well together. That's good for Mbappe. It's also good for Bellingham. Now that he's playing more central, do you remember start of the season or well into the season, 1 week he was on the left, 1 week he was on the right. It's difficult from those positions to form a relationship and an understanding with new players from there. I think we're seeing now there's a good game awareness between these two players, not just on this occasion, and that's good for Real Madrid. But I tell you what, not ruling Atleti out, because they are second, but I'm looking at that, we mentioned it before the game. Barcelona go into a game that they should win tomorrow.
Yep.
They're 10 points off Real Madrid.
Incredible.
That means there can be zero slip-up, and we know in La Liga recently they have struggled.
And what's interesting, Stevie, is this is a Real Madrid side who've been nowhere near at their best this season yet, as Craig mentioned. They've got this lead over Barcelona, and they're just starting to hit their straps at the right time.
And what a time to have arguably your best and your biggest star all of a sudden looks as though everything's coming to him naturally now. Mm-hmm. Early in the season, everything seemed to be forced. Every time he had a finish, he was forcing it. Defenders were getting close to him. He was hitting the goalkeeper. Now everything looks smooth and natural and nice and easy.
And would he be able to do this with Vinicius Junior in the team, Luis?
Well, I think that, yes. Normally we talk a lot about that balance the team that needs to have into the midfield, up front, the pressure, the transition going back. And when you have Vinicius Junior into the mid team, you know that he's not a player who likes to press much or tracking back players. I think that when you have so much firepower up front, you have to use it. And I know that Vinicius Junior with Kylian Mbappe and Rodrigo is tricky because the three of them, they don't help much the team in defense. But how much is a worry for the opponent to try to cover and stop these kind of players? Because in the moment that a player into the midfield can have the link up with them, you are going to be in trouble. So yes, I think this Real Madrid is building in confidence, is growing and becoming more solid at the back and more secure into the midfield, with Valverde right now becoming a big presence and big player into the midfield. And definitely Real Madrid right now is looking favourite more than ever, even though they no longer go. Barcelona was almost 10 points ahead of Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? The turnaround since El Clasico. Let's return to our top story. Real Madrid 3, Valladolid 0. Kylian Mbappe with a hat-trick that sees Carlo Ancelotti's side extend their lead at the top of the table to 4 points. There for us was Sid Lowe. Sid, Mbappe was the talk before the game, during the game, and now, of course, after the game.
Yep, absolutely. And he's been playing really, really well since that game against Athletic Club when he said that he'd hit rock bottom. Of course, he missed the penalty that night. He'd just come off the back of having missed a penalty against Liverpool. He didn't miss the penalty tonight, which completed a hat-trick for him. He's on very, very good form indeed. He looks quicker than everybody else. He looks sharper than everyone else. He seems to be finding his place within his teammates. And I think one of the things that's happened is that maybe a touch of that humility that he had at the start of the season when he said it himself in that press conference where he didn't want to tread on people's toes. He didn't want to just turn up and say, look, I'm Kylian Mbappe. But I think now he feels like he can kind of take that responsibility and that confidence into his game. And he looks very, very good indeed.
As do Real Madrid, I suppose, Sid, who haven't looked that great of late. Obviously, they weren't brilliant today, but they're just getting a little bit of a run together. And despite all the criticism after that defeat in Saudi Arabia, a little bit like the Clásico in La Liga, they kind of put it behind them quite quickly.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's a handful of reasons for that. I think one of them is that actually the fixtures after those bad games have been relatively comfortable ones. I think that's helped. But I also think it's just obviously the quality of the players that they've got. And I think the one thing that's maybe missing for Real Madrid this season is a really good performance against a really strong team. Now, we knew that at some point Madrid would come good. Why? Because they've got too many good players not to. Because actually their results earlier in the season, and certainly if you look, for example, at the statistics of Kylian Mbappe and the goals that he was scoring, those figures, even when we were questioning him, were pretty good. So there was going to be a point at which this starts to fall into place. It happened early enough in the season that there was still time. Of course, that's aided by there was still time because Barcelona only managed to win 1 of 8 games because Atletico Madrid, although they started going on that great run, had a poor season. So they were given that opportunity, and now they're in a great position. They finished tonight 4 points ahead of Atletico Madrid, 10 points ahead of Barcelona, who admittedly have a game in hand tomorrow. And as you say, now in a position where they should, doesn't mean they will, but they should go on and win the league.